should be recording. Aha, it's recording. All right. So, let's see what we got going on here. Figure out a way to be able to broadcast in reduced definition as well, but I'll figure that out later. So today I have a couple of flat pieces that I'm going to be working with. One of the things that I've been doing at work actually recently is making cutouts for people so that they can have their logos if they prefer in the white background. So I'm not entirely sure. Oh, so he has never updated my information. Today's the 8th. There we go. Okay. So there. All right. But what I was doing recently was I've been using foam as actually a cutout for pictures. One of my coworkers likes a clothing logo, so I carved that out for him. And then he also wanted a Nike swoosh, so I made him a three-dimensional model of that for him. Both of which he really likes. And then for another coworker, I did a cutout in a similar foam to this of, I think it's the Jordans or Air Jordan Jumpman, one of those. The logo where he's doing a slam dunk. And then I also did a cutout representation of a Rotary Engine, which was very odd. And one of the things I found that was interesting with that is the center part of a rotary is a triangle with a circle in it that has gears that when you cut it out in foam looks like moons. So that is what I'm going to do today, is I'm going to show you how to make that triangular with circles inside. How far do I want this over? I'll do it about that size. Alright. So, what I had at work for him though was much simpler because it was pre-made stencil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, it was a weird like curved triangle too. It wasn't even normal. Equilateral. And if you're not worried about your thumb getting a little darkened when you use pen on foam, you can actually just kind of rub it away sometimes. Although I pushed a little too hard and accidentally left a little bit of a mark. But that's alright. Because slightly curved. Now if I want this to be the same length, this time. So about right. All right, here we go. So we got ourselves a little triangle piece here. And what I'm going to be doing with this is I'm going to cut a shallow circle out from the center, and then go another circle off to the side of that one on the inside of the circle, though. So that way it gives it a nice illusionary look. Hold on 1 second. Okay. So all right. So one of the benefits of having a box cutter is you can actually get exact measurements of how deep you want the cut to be. So for this box cutter, I'm going 1, 2, 3, so that way you can see a little bit on this side, because I want it to be that deep. So then I'm going to, not going towards the full edge because I don't want it to be broken on the sides. I'm going to cut a circle. Now, your circle doesn't have to be perfect, but you know, closer to perfect it is, the better for yourself, I guess. Alright, so now what I did here was I cut into it so that way I can peel away, but it won't go all the way through. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut another circle just barely on the inside of that, so that way we actually have a defined gap. Now that one can be a little bit more difficult. If you're patient, have a nice sharp blade, you can do it relatively easily. And by doing this, it'll allow us to cut out a ring that is just embedded. Alright. Now I'm going to shorten it by a click. And now that I have a double circle, it's actually more like an oval, but it works for me. So I have a double circle there, and you can see the extra gap. There we go. Try it that closeness. Why is it so bright? 1 second. Let me see why it's being so bright. What's that looking? Oh, so much better. Don't know why it must not be very much cloud coverage today. But, and now once we have that, we're going to peel it back just a little bit. I'm going to, with the shortened blade, slice down as deep as you can along that ring on the outside that you made it. So that way you can just eventually lift out that ring. And there we go. Just a little bit there. All right. So now that we have the wing removed, that's just scrap. This is what we have. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to carve probably along this path right here. So that way I'll have another gear or another circle being made along this section, and then this will be a crescent. and I'm going to keep it short because I want this circle to be raised above the deep circle that we've made, but lower than the here, the crescent. So, and this one you can actually have going to the edge because they're overlapping circles. So I'm going to start cutting. And as always, if anybody has any questions, I try and pay attention to chat, so feel free to ask. And also, if you happen to watch my videos on my YouTube channel, I will try my best to respond to those comments as quickly as possible. You can even ask questions there. Okay. This little tiny piece is being stubborn. Move it with my scissors. All right, so that's what we currently have going with us. Oh. Let's see if I can get a proper angle. Oh, that might be one of the reasons why. Not bad, everybody. There we go. Yeah, much better. All right, so it's almost like an egg if you hold it up at the right angle. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some finer details. I'm going to smooth around the edges, and I'm going to kind of make it look like a either a pendant or like a key type thing, so like you'd slide into place. So that way it looks a little bit nicer. So while I do that, can actually start thinking about what my next little project to show you guys is going to be. If you have any requests, I'll more than happily do them. And they don't have to be the same thing that I've done before. If you have something new, part of the benefits of the way I do this, I can try my best at pretty much everything. And the way that I ended up having to do this at the first time that I did it was my coworker asked me if I could make a moving piece, and the answer was not exactly. But if you've ever seen a rotary engine, it's one of these triangular things with gears in the center of it being pushed around a very odd-shaped oval. And the way that it rotates, it allows it to actually spin and cause combustion through that rotary motion. It's a pretty fascinating design of an engine, honestly. Okay, so I just decided that I'm going to have it be this way up and down, so that way I can have it uniform. So this is officially going to be the bottom part. touch up the inner circle. And now to clean up the outer circle, because that did not rip out the way I was really hoping for it to, or more than I wanted it originally. That's alright. Foam is relatively forgiving as long as you can make tiny adjustments along the way. Yeah, okay. So there we go. Now, if you wanted to, you could use this as a prop. For instance, this is the ancient relic that would indicate to the players where they would have to go, and you can easily make it to where if this were such as an island or a globe, and if that were the main planet, that could be construed as the moon. So that could be the location where the moon is, or where the secret treasure is. And in D&D wise, I think I've heard of 2 different ways to get to the moon. I'm not 100% sure on that though. But you could also have it as, you know, just a key to slot into a location and cause something to activate, or if you want it to be some sort of symbol for worship or otherwise, you can, you know, have it as a pendant just by adding a little loop up here. So that's the first little project today. Cutting out a triangle and then adding some circles to make it look interesting. Side for now. Go for slightly more sturdy material. What to do? What to do? Okay. Did I ever update that? I don't think it did. Oh, it did. Okay. Okay. So with this, I think we're going to do some sort of... Just left my brain. Sorry about the dogs barking. Alright, so honestly, I'm having a bit of a brain fart right now. Can't decide on what I want to make with this one. So, actually, I'm going to do a tiny little prop, which I might be able to choose this piece for. Alright, so let's get a measurement though. let's see. 1 inch in D&D is 5 feet. This is a little bit over 5 feet square. So let's do 5 by 10. So might be a little bit off, but that's fine. Alright. And this won't be for a miniature to actually like use, but it is just, you know, occasionally you want to have a prop of a throne. So I'm going to make a little throne. Now, a lot of thrones are actually larger than they need to be because they want to be intimidating in their own way, look larger than life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the seat section, but then I'm also going to have it taller than a normal person would be if they were to be a 5-foot person or even a 6-foot person sitting in this. But they'll also have little parts coming out to have along their edges or the sidings. I can adjust these for a reason, and I wasn't using it. Okay. There. Yeah, okay. So now we have the part where their back would be sitting. I just got to do the same thing for where their butt will sit. And as always, if you're going to be doing this type of thing at home, please be super duper careful. Always cut away from yourself if possible. Alright. So apparently this piece of foam already had a slice in it, so that's unfortunate. Didn't realize that. Might have to use another piece. Yep. Got a big slice going all the way up the side. That's good. So, I'll leave it as is, because why not? Didn't make too big of a deal. Now that I've put where the butt will be and the back will be, now it's just adding in additional details along the way. And if you want it to be a raised seat or a solid block that they sit on, it's up to you. I'm going to do a raised one, which can look both good and bad on foam. So it's kind of a shot in the dark until I confirm that it works. All right. So that, I'm going to decide how wide I want the feet to be. And I'm not going to just do pegs going down. I'm going to do a wedge. There we go. I got to over here on the same or the opposite side now. Gotta love those 45-degree angles, right? Alright. So now I have the chair that's got the back part, which this slice makes it a little unstable, but I'll deal with that. And I got the seat part. There's going to be the armrests, so I'm going to have to add a little bit of detail to those, probably round them off. And and then the under part, which has just got 4 little wedges cut out, technically 2 at a time. Might be better if I used the tiny scissors. So all I'm really doing for the arms, right now at least, is I'm just rounding them off, making it look a little softer. And then the exterior edges I'm rounding as well for the back part, because I'm going to have it curve inward almost like a shell, like an eggshell would be. 1 second. Yeah, okay. Sorry, the dogs are very talkative today. So now that I have rounded off the exterior edges, it's right there. I'm gonna have to super glue that piece together because it's just sliced right up the side. And I can't shave it off. It's too much of the substance of the actual chair. I have to crazy glue it together. But I'm also going to round off the tops. And you can utilize these for any chair. I'm just doing a throne. So. And honestly, the only way you'd be able to tell it's a throne and not just a normal chair would be by the coloring. So at the moment, I'm just doing a normal chair. That will eventually turn into a throne once colored. Okay. Okay, I'm going to do the little dabs of crazy glue so that way we can stay there. Okay. Have this line placed in proper. So just gotta let this sit and dry, and then we have ourselves a tiny little throne. Now, depending on the culture that you're representing with your thrones, if you want to make another one for, say, the queen or princesses and princesses, or princes and princesses, then you would want the kings to be the largest, but obviously, depending on the culture, the queens will be more decorated or more extravagant. And then the prince will be a near replica of the kings, but smaller. And then the princesses will be the same size as the prince, but it'll be slightly less detailed than the mothers, but still more detailed than both the father and son, or prince. So just keep that in mind. This is just your basic chair that has rounded edges, and the piece still wants to come apart. Okay. Okay, so we got ourselves a little chair, and obviously that won't fit an actual D&D mini, because D&D minis take up a 5-foot square, and that would be sitting in a 5-foot square. Bummer that is just sliced all the way through. Yeah, okay. And what else? Just additional chunks. Still want to do something with this, but cannot make up my mind what I want. Well, I'm hoping I didn't actually lose connection to the stream, because Stream Manager said it had issues, but we'll go from there. If you have any suggestions or requests on what I could carve up, let me know, and then I'll do those. Aside from that, I shall just blunder on. In case I did cut out, made a pendant or key of some sort that is got a circle inside a crescent inside the triangle. Sorry about the beeping in the background. Then I made a throne chair. Really, it's just a chair, but it'll be a throne once it's painted. Now I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with this. Now, D&D wise, it is a little over 5 or 6 feet or so in thickness. Then we currently have 25 feet of length, and width is 20 feet. So those are the approximate parameters. Oh, actually, I think I can use one of these. Not the same density though. Almost the same thickness. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this one just to see how well it works out, and then I'll switch to the denser material if necessary. But what I'm planning on making is a little tiny statue that can be put pretty much anywhere. Okay, and as whenever I do statues, I always make sure I have a platform that they stand on. I try and also make it flat and even, So occasionally I have to shave off a little bit on the curvature. There we go. So whenever I do these types of things, I always make sure to leave a platform that they stand on. This time I'm going to mark the height of it just by taking out little wedges at the corners. And there we go. So those little wedges are my platform height indicator. So I don't want to cut below those. I'm going to attempt, and I stress the word attempt, to make a little lion type animal. So I should need about that much. And I'll cut this off, cut that off. Cool. Then it's down a little bit. Alright, so a few cuts that I did there were to point where I'm going to be having the head of this little lion creature. And then this bar that I cut across here was pretty much where its neck is going to be. I'm going to try and have one of its paws come forward now. Now, a lion is not that thick, so I can actually remove a portion of it. But remember, they're thinner at the rear end than they are at their head, because lions have the manes, or at least males do. So when you're cutting to provide that, a little bit extra width at the front end and back. Okay. Since they're not going to be all the way at the edge due to the thickness of the lion, I'm going to shave off to create that platform. And there we go. So those bit of carvings, we now have defined where the head will be. And then I have the slope of along the back. It's probably going to go a little bit lower than that. So this is where the hind legs are going to be, and I'm going to have them a little bit inward, but they'll spread out like he's taking a powerful stance. And then one paw I'm going to try and have come forward like he just clawed something, and then the other paw will be support. So the paw that is coming forward won't be touching the ground. To try and indent a little bit along the way, ever so slightly, and then remove all that empty space. got that empty space. I'm going to put where his chest area will be. Cutting out more where empty space would be, because since it's going to be a lion, they go at it like a angle, because their front legs are typically higher, or the front shoulders are higher than their back legs, because they tend to pounce a lot. And the way I'm going to have it resting position is its butt will be down here. Almost a sitting position, but more like ready to pounce if necessary. Now I'm just adding a little bit of finer shaping towards like its where its face and snout will be. And me saying this as a lion is just because I'm using that as the general shape of a four-legged creature that is going to be on the ground. It could be pretty much any creature that you want it to be that is quadruped, has a thick head. You can even make your own creatures for it if you want. Space there. Let's see if we can get some empty space down here along the bottom. So what I have now is the head and mane right there. Not sure what is coming up with the lighting here, but the front right paw is not actually connected, so it actually makes it a little bit easier to get in there and cut towards the empty spaces underneath. Then where the paw is supporting it in the front, there is a little pocket in there that you can see, and I'm going to keep expanding that until I can see all the way through from underneath. In the back area right here, I've rounded it off a little bit, so that way it'll be the rear leg haunches, and then I'll try and add a little bit of detail for the tail, but that's going to be pretty difficult on styrofoam. Yeah, so it's coming together pretty well. Also, if you're going to be making this into a lion, remember, they're not fat creatures. So the less chunky it looks, the better, because they are pretty lean. Well, might as well use the entire thing, lean, mean, fighting machine. Because that's what they're designed to do, is hunt down creatures that they can eat. Just try to widen out this underbelly opening zone so it's more defined. Just notice his chest has got a big spike coming out of it, so moving that out a little bit. Just poofed a large portion of my scrap everywhere. It's alright though. So what I'm doing now is I'm adding tiny details. Sorry, can't even see it. I'm doing, doing tiny details to give it a little bit more life towards it. So what I'm attempting to do now is what I figured would not be the easiest thing to do, is to provide a little lion tail. Though if I were to paint this, I'm not sure how well it would turn out, admittedly. Okay. So without painting, this is pretty much the extent that I'm going to be able to do. Add little slices for claws, round it off a little bit. Okay. So this is what we have for now. Okay, well, that works. Let's see. I'm not right about the time frame. All right. So what we have is a little tiny statue of a dude. I cut out its tail, and so that way you can actually pull it out and you see a little tail. You have an empty space underneath this entire arm, so and it's entirely void space. Its arm is curved inwards, so that way it looks like it just took a swipe at something, while the other leg is stationary there for support. There is the empty gap there so that we can see all the way through, and if it's a little hard to see on the stream, but there is little haunches for the back leg. There it is. It's a little haunch. There we go. Now the finer details would come through painting it, which I'm not going to do because oh, I also made a snout for it, so it does have where its face would be, and that is what would allow you to paint in the teeth, tongue, and block in the tip of its nose for its muzzle, and then you can have its big mane. I could have shrunk down its main body just a little bit, but I like this because it's not just a lion. It could be pretty much whatever you want it to be that has 4 legs and a tail and a muzzle snout thing. So that's that for now. And then just to do the standard recap before I finish up for today. We have the pendant that has a crescent with a circle inside the triangle. I did make it an oval-ish type thing because I just freehanded it and I'm not perfect. But if you want, you can use stencil and either pen or pencil to actually get a perfect circle. Yeah, which can be used for all sorts of things in D&D. Then I made a throne room, or a throne / chair, and showed you guys how to do that, which Super Glue did not want to hold on that part, so I'll have to deal with that later. And that is simply cutting out the rectangles for the seats section and then cutting out little triangles at the bottom, so that way it has some depth to it. And then I made a little tiny statue of either a lion or potentially a dog creature or any type of 4-legged critter that has a tail and would stand like that in a swiping position. So there we go. Hope you all enjoyed the stream today, and I will see you next week. Peace out, y'all.